Coming up next on the Weekly Pass, we've got NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, and all things hockey here. We've got our great guest, Jim Fox here, former NHL player and color analyst for the LA Kings. All that and more coming up.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome back to the Weekly Pass. I'm Bonnie Jill Laflin. Kings all the way,
yeah,
right?
Beginning of the third period, our special guest knows all about this song.
You know, it's nice that we have something different. Hockey. I love that we have a hockey.
Yeah.
You know, it's always NBA.
It's always NBA, and I am the hockey champion on this wonderful panel, and I'm so excited that we have the amazing Jim Fox, and we will be introducing him in just a moment, but there's just so much going on right now.
So much going
hockey.
on. You can catch us at BJL Weekly Pass and myself at BJ Laflin on Twitter and at Bonnie Joe on Instagram and Facebook, and then Becky Sotero and David Bloom.
David H. Bloom,
That's
yeah,
right.
you know it.
That's right. Oh my gosh, let's dive into some NBA, you guys.
Yes.
Can we please?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that we send our condolences to the 49ers and Dwight Clark and his family. He was actually a very dear friend of mine, so I don't want to get too much into it, but it was a struggle he'd been dealing with ALS, and he finally lost that battle last night. So if you can, you know, maybe go and donate to ALS. It's a horrible disease. Yeah, I'll leave that. But I got back from game 1 and 2 of the NBA Finals.
How was it?
Amazing.
Up in Oakland?
Probably, gosh, the best. You know, I've seen a lot of finals in my days covering, you know, the NBA and working for the Lakers. But this game 1 was just phenomenal. It was crazy. I don't know, Jim, if you watched it but that game 1 is probably the craziest game 1 I've ever seen, with the controversial call at the end. J.R. Smith deciding he wants to take a walk, or I don't know where he was going, maybe get some Hennessy. But it was a lot. There was so much, and the fact that the game was so close, where a lot of people did not think it was going to be that close of a game.
I mean, a free throw was the telling tale of this.
Well, George Hill needs to make. You know,
Yeah,
there's a lot of things he needs to make both.
You gotta hit your free throws.
Yeah.
But still, I think JR's got the lowest basketball IQ in the NBA history.
Call a timeout, someone.
Well, and then the best part of it is that he says, I don't know why Coach Lou didn't call a timeout. You can call a timeout.
Yeah.
This is an AAU.
Yeah.
But you know what? Guy's on the line. He's got one more to hit. You have to plan if he misses.
Thank you.
And if he misses and you do get the rebound, you've got call a timeout.
Yes.
Call a timeout. You're the coach.
No.
You're the guy that doesn't have to worry about anything
Right.
else than figuring that out. I think
But-
there's a little responsibility there,
Right.
but he
But-
made
True. No, it's right. I mean,
but he
an
could
error.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
He should have made, I don't know. When he started dribbling crazy away from the
Chaos.
basket, I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
No one knew what he was doing. The Warriors fans were like, oh, this is awesome. J.R. Smith just.
And LeBron's
you know.
just sitting there watching it
I
all
knew
happen
exactly
for
what
him.
was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, he thinks the game's over.
Right.
Sure.
trying to dribble it out. I mean, if they're up, then
And did you see LeBron's face? Like,
Yeah.
I know.
he was ready.
As everyone knows on this, show, that I'm not a fan of LeBron James, and this is the first time where I felt really bad for him.
too.
Scores 51 points,
Yep.
still not enough, right? And does everything, and he still can't get
This
help.
was a statement game for him. He was so strong, and yet to lose it in that moment.
And they had that game.
They had the game.
regardless
Yep.
of the call that they it was a block or charge, and it was still in the hands of the Cavs.
it was right there. And out of this series, I mean, it's only been 2 games, but what you can speculate over the years is going last year, that's one of the closest the Cavs have ever come to actually having a nice little place in this series. And it was just you're right. You always got to plan for if that shot's missed.
Right.
Because you look, and funny, I know you've been to Oracle. They have scoreboards everywhere. When you're at the line and you're standing there, you look and say, okay, it's 107. There's about 5 seconds left. I can do this. Then if you, on the off chance you get the offensive rebound, you say, okay, we still have the timeout. I can call it. I can do that. It's just LeBron has one of the best basketball IQs I've ever seen in a player, which is why
that's the extremes. You see JR, and then you see
I respect him so
LeBron.
much, but I feel so bad for the guy when he plays with people who can't level his IQ or even come close to it.
Well, that's been the story of the team, though, in general, is that he's been carrying this team. We know this. So,
But he would think that his players are working with them, not
Of
against him.
course.
That's kind of the joke as well.
And he even asked, was there a timeout? I think he wasn't too happy with
Yeah.
the coach as well. And I just But there's just so much.
But
to
the
be
game
said.
itself was fun. I actually brought some guests, that you actually got excited about. That
I
brought
did.
to the
Jeremy
game.
Renner.
Jeremy
I'm a fan of
Renner,
Jeremy
and
Renner.
John Hamm. I actually facilitated them coming to the game because they're promoting their new movie Tag. And
So good, I can't
which
wait
is
to
an
see it.
adult, adult
True
game of
story. It's
tag.
based on true story, too.
Right. Yeah, true story. So they were there, kind of played some tag with some people, and
Great.
enjoyed the game. And Jeremy's originally from Northern California, so he's a fan of the Warriors. And they were right on the on the floor. so
LeBron
they had-
wanted to tag someone after that game. With one of these.
Yes.
I know. He kept his composure.
He did.
He
as well.
did.
He did. I mean, he could have made a bigger scene than he did.
Because I'm going to be honest,
Yes.
Jim, I would have. I think if I were him, I would have probably gone a little bit nuts.
But
Not
it's
meaning
still,
to, but
it's
emotional.
the first game of the series, so you got to kind of think ahead. The
Yes.
game's not over yet. You're going overtime. You still have a chance. But as you guys are saying, I think if everyone thought if the Cavs had any chance to win the series, you have to take advantage of every opportunity, and they
right.
let one go the other way.
They did. And I think that loss, as we can tell from game 2, was just so deflating. There was no way from
I mean, it was still closer than I expected. I thought they were going to get blown out. But then as the quarters went on, you could see that it was
Yeah.
they didn't have anything. And I'm not going to say LeBron is gassed out or anything, but I think he's getting a little. This is wearing on him now.
It's
and mentally, I think
Yeah,
he was
how
a
do you
little-
go from one
It's
of
the
your
mental fatigue.
highest, 51 points in that first game? How do you...
And when Draymond took an elbow to his eye, that's why his eye's all bloodied. And that's not getting any better. Not that that's at all
But it affects
limiting him, but it's still it's there, and it's it's
Okay,
not
so
going away.
what can be improved? I mean, we're going into game 3. Everybody thinks that it's over, but
I mean, I definitely think the Cavs will play better at home, especially some of the supporting cast, because I know they do play better. With JR hopefully not being as streaky, and Love and Korver contributing. But at
need
the
a lot
same
more from
time, what
Korver.
we're hearing is that Iguodala probably will play game 3. And I've always said if there's a starting 5, and Iggy's back in that lineup, they'll sweep, they'll take over. It won't even be a chance for the Cavs. So if that happens, I don't care if it's home away.
It's over,
The Warriors are going to take it. The one thing about the Warriors that they have to do is that they still are turning over the ball. They're playing sloppy, and they're not playing all 4 quarters strong. They're kind of playing sometimes. They're not motivated by the team they're playing, so they're kind of play down to a level. And I think, now with 2 games up,
Yeah.
it's pretty much.
Well, I mean, they know they don't have to. They know, I mean, game 1, they were caught sleeping a lot. Like, they got away with one. And when you get away with a win, I mean, a win's a win, but they got away with that one. But game 2, they just know, okay, we don't have to play our full basketball for this Cavs team. We'll keep it in the first and second quarter. We'll break out in the third. We'll finish strong in the fourth. I mean, they play really sloppy, but it's just because they're not playing their full level of basketball because they just don't have to.
Right.
It's as simple as that. They just don't have to play
they
that
have
type of basketball.
too much offense, and they haven't figured out a way to score against the Warriors. It's just not. I don't see it happening.
In hockey, we talk about like a hands player.
Yeah.
A guy with good hands.
Yeah.
Right.
Does anyone have a better, quicker release than Steph Curry?
No.
No,
Catch and release.
he's the best 3-point shooter we
no,
have.
But like,
seen.
by the time he gets it, by the time he releases it,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to square up. He doesn't have to
Nope.
look. He knows exactly where he is. Gets gone.
Well, look at that
And that's-
buzzer shot. He was
Yeah.
off
I know.
kilter. He shot
And that's
it
kind
from
of the
an
shots
angle.
he takes pregame when he goes in the tunnel. It's like he just
amazing.
it's like effortless too.
It is, and again, you cannot compete with. I mean, poor LeBron. It can't just be LeBron. It has to be an entire team against,
Right.
a
And if
team.
they add Iggy back, and replace Looney, it's all over.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
It's going to be really tough for the Cavs. They're not going to have an answer for this.
No.
And I would like to. I did say Warriors in 5 because I did think that the
We
Cavs
all
were
thought
going
they
to
were gonna
steal
get
at least
one.
one.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
Warriors would play down. Maybe that was the game 1.
The game 1.
So,
Yeah.
and I know the networks and the league want this to go longer for obvious reasons, the money, but it's not. I think this could be a sweep.
No, and I mean, you're right. Game 1 was what they needed. They had a little bit of that luck of the Warriors not playing to their full potential, and I just don't know how you come back from that. I mean, we'll talk about this when we get to hockey. Hockey's a totally different thing. You can be 3 games down and win the series, as we've seen several times with the
Right.
Kings, but
It's
basketball.
tough, very tough. When I talked to Teron Liu, who I'm friends with, who's the coach of the Cavs, and he just said, as a coach, that was probably the hardest game to have to deal with and to try to figure out what's next and to move forward and still try to motivate his team and not get on JR too much because, as we know, some of these players, if you get on them too much, not back in the day, I'm sure you know this, back in the day, you could say whatever. Coaches could get on these players. Now these guys are so soft. You say one little thing, now they're depressed and they're not going to be able to bounce back.
Yeah.
So he had to kind of still encourage him, even though he told Coach, hey, I thought we were up.
It's the theme of the game.
So
It's just the idea of just
man.
the softness now, and like
Yeah.
like Draymond's getting in refs' faces, and like back him like Joey Crawford, like he would have thrown threw out Tim Duncan for laughing.
Yeah.
He would have thrown out
Joey
Draymond.
Crawford was no joke.
Back in the
So
day,
quick.
players needed the coach.
Yeah.
Now they don't need
Exactly.
the coach
Exactly.
anymore.
No,
the
you're
coach
right.
needs the player.
Yeah,
Such a strong
that's
and
point.
that's
changed.
the big difference.
I don't like it.
No.
Actually, it's changed.
It's not changing.
Yeah,
Again, I don't
no,
think it's
not.
flipping.
It's not.
Yeah.
in the near
Well, I
future.
mean, and I wasn't a fan either of the officiating in Game 2, and I don't know. I just think that everybody's it's just hand it to the Warriors. I mean, I think there were some unfair calls, but I'll leave it there.
And with J.R. Smith, I'll reiterate the fact that, if he would have just owned it that he made a mistake, the problem I have with him is like, no. I knew that it was tied. Then it was like, no. I thought, and then it was, I blacked out. I wasn't really sure what happened. And that's why people are crucifying him
believe- well, I
on
believe
social
the
media.
blackout side.
Just say that you didn't know, but then don't try to blame the coach and then,
I think
it was a lot.
It was
own
just,
it,
I think,
right.
yeah, I think there was a lot in that moment. He could have just been like, I was lost. Sometimes it's easier just to be like, I was lost in that moment and let it be.
I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, sometimes mistakes are made in game one
Well,
of
that
a
cost the series,
winnable.
I think.
It can
The
cost
pressure.
you the series, but
Right.
still, you got to say, look, I made a mistake. I hope Cavs Nation can forgive me. I'm sorry, but you look so dumb when you just say, oh, I knew we were tied. Like, just own it, dude.
Right.
That's it. Just focus on the game, own it, and try to be better. That's what mistakes are.
In Game 2, Steph Curry hit a NBA's final record with 9 threes, and then I think also 90 total
even
as
gonna-
well.
That's just.
I mean, as
crazy.
a fan, though, you have to just be like, this is amazing. Like, his skill level is just out of this world.
It's so amazing because, I mean, like, basketball, of course, a great pass can make a better shot, but Steph Curry can catch that ball anywhere on his body.
Anywhere, I
and
know.
quickly release
Anywhere on the
it,
court.
Yeah.
put it in from anywhere. I mean, 30 feet, 1,000 feet
Sure.
from the parking lot. It does not
Yeah.
matter. It's just amazing how little space he needs and just how much space he can create, too. Because it's one thing to just shoot over anyone. Like, I mean, KD can shoot
Right.
over pretty much anyone. But you need space, definitely, as a guy who's
Right.
the size of Steph. So he can just, he's got one of the most underrated dribble game. Like handles in the
his
entire
handles,
NBA. He can just create shots from anywhere. By himself, he can create shots, and that's just
Yeah, and
one of the
the
reasons he's
team
amazing.
trusts his leadership. That you can tell that they're all behind him, and I think that LeBron, unfortunately, he's been doing his best in the leadership department, but there's not enough skill against the Warriors. Bottom line.
And
There's
when
not.
Steph is hot and Clay is hot,
Yeah.
it's the Splash Brothers. It's so fun to watch. And a lot of people have said they don't like Mark Jackson has said, I don't like that Steph Curry's brought back the three and that, I like more the dynamic, drive to the basket and dunks and so forth. I don't know what you think, Jim, but threes are, hitting the three and those outside shots are fun, but there's some people who say they don't like that game of basketball.
Yeah, well, what happens is now, the analytics is taking over. So then, much like in hockey, so now everyone's analyzing it, and they're saying a lower three-point percentage is still better because you're over the course
Yeah.
of time.
Right.
That's one extra point. And you break it down into numbers, and that's now coaches are coaching that way, and they're going to try to get that because
It's about points.
the data in front of them tells them that's what's going to in the long run is going to make it happen. It does take away from the old one-on-one matchups,
Right.
get down low, grind it
The
out.
ISO, yeah.
It just kind of takes away from that.
It does, but some people, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
so true. It's so true because the three ball is just. It's been used so much as you've seen in the 2000s, and like the 90s. 90s basketball was such a different game.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
why
It's so evolved and
you
changed.
can't compare Jordan and LeBron because LeBron plays in a much different era than Jordan. And you saw guys like Reggie Miller be
yeah.
just a sharpshooter from there, and guys like little down the line Ray Allen who could just shoot it from anywhere. And that was sort of like the start to this three-ball game where players were like, okay, well, now I can kind of incorporate the three-point arc
Right.
instead of just going to the hole every time. And that is also why, if you look at centers, they're the least valued player on the entire
Now
court.
the bigs have changed. It's
yeah,
not like
exactly.
before. You always wanted to make
Yep.
sure that you drafted a big, and that would kind of take over your franchise.
Sure.
But then at the same time, you're seeing some of these guys, who are who normally would drive to the bucket, who are now, I got to try to hit a three. Like a lot of the bigs are trying to shoot threes. I'm like, no, still play your game.
Right.
don't try to always hit these threes because there's times where I'm like, Draymond, come on, like what was that? Like,
Well, because people are seeing what Steph is doing, and so
Yeah.
it's like they need to match that level. And again, it comes down to numbers. And if he's sinking 3 after 3 after 3, it makes the opponent play a lot harder at the twos and driving to the net. So
Well, I mean, there's a game for bigs who can shoot threes, like Anthony Davis. He can
AD,
drain
that's
one.
why.
Well,
Right.
Kevin Love and
Exactly.
Durant.
Exactly.
And KD,
I mean, in the same. I mean, these guys are huge, but yet, boom.
Yeah.
Like, with the spread out offense that Golden State should have, because you got to respect the 3-point. So you're going to draw people away from the basket. If you had a big boy in the middle, you'd have everything. But their big boys shoot from the outside too.
I know.
Exactly.
So-
I mean, what, you got guys like JaVale McGee, but they don't need the center.
No,
Right,
they don't.
That's
They
what
don't.
I'm
That's
saying.
not how they play. They don't
Right.
incorporate the
I
center
know.
into their game
Slows
plan.
it
Isn't that
down.
crazy?
It's
Slows it down.
yep.
It's
More spread out for sure.
It is. Well, I mean, you can definitely see there was more focus and they were a little more efficient in game 2, the Warriors. So, with that being said, moving on, I think this series is done.
I give the Cavs one. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just say I
At
give
home?
them 3.
I would like to see them win one.
I mean, tomorrow's gonna be
I
the
just know
game
if
7. They
I
have
just
to
know
win
if
tomorrow.
Iguodala is added, I
Yeah.
just think it's
I'm with
game
you.
over.
I'm with you. And they have to win tomorrow. There's no
Yeah.
Yeah,
other
of
recipe.
course.
So
I mean, basketball, it's never down 3-0,
Yeah.
never been done.
Jim,
And
what's your
it's not gonna be
prediction
done.
for this series, even though we're 2 games in?
I thought 5 going in, and I still think 5, and I think LeBron will find a way to win a game.
Not get swept.
He's already found a couple of ways to win games.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just going to happen. It seems more in basketball that the home court advantage, even like hockey is the only sport that actually has a rule that gives an advantage to the home team. You get the last change. You get to match your players against the other team, the away team. So that's actually a rule. Basketball doesn't have any rules
No,
really,
just the
but
fan,
it's
that's
just
it.
that whole atmosphere that
Right.
gets
well,
it
we
going.
talked about this too. Basketball has a 65% rating for
We talked
winning
about
at
that for
home, and
home,
hockey is
right.
55. So
Well,
it's
right now, this year in the playoffs, the road team
Yeah.
has won more in the NHL than the home team.
so
See,
good.
isn't that funny?
So good.
That's,
I love that, though.
I love that stat is changing, but last week we had a great conversation about that, about
Right.
basketball being such an advantage at home. So yeah, it'll be
And
interesting.
I know
to see
the
what
Warriors fans would love it to go back to Oracle and have them
okay.
celebrate on their floor in Game 5.
It's a
I'm not saying they're going to do anything, but I'm
Strategy.
just saying that I think they would like it. But it's always, I mean, when I was at the Lakers, we always won on the road, and we loved it. We loved being on their court going, yeah, what's up, Celtics? We liked it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But we've got Jim in the studio, which is so nice. Thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure. No,
And let's
it's great.
talk. Let's get right into Stanley Cup. Becky, I know that, I don't know now. I mean, I know for a while you were kind of pulling for the Caps, but now.
I'm probably the thing about it is that for me, I just love good hockey. Everybody knows that. I love good hockey. I'll always be behind my Kings, but obviously I don't have that choice now. This is such an exceptional matchup because we have 2 teams that have never won the Cup. So no matter what, we're going to be cheering for something.
I love the story.
Yes, the history line behind both, exactly. But yes, I thought Caps in 7, so I'm a little shocked that we are where we're at. However, after seeing what they did in Game 2, I just think that there's another level of playing. Ovi is composed. The team is stopping
The
in
Caps
the
look
neutral
so
zone.
calm, cool, and
The
collective.
Knights.
I remember for
Yeah.
a while you had said you thought they may go in Game 1 a little nervous.
Yeah.
But they're up 3-1. Jim, break it down. What's going on so far?
Well, I mean, going back to the last game, Game 4, the Washington Capitals are extremely fortunate. I think they were dominated in period number 1, and they had a 3-0 lead after 1 period. They were dominant. I cannot imagine Vegas playing any better. Now, what happened was then the Caps capitalized on every single opportunity they had. They scored. So that says a lot about skill. I mean, to have the guys that will finish plays at the right time.
Yeah.
So, I think it is a contrast in styles. I think Vegas still is that wild card team that plays a little bit different than most teams. Maybe just because they're in the first year and they can, in the back of the players' minds, they have less noise going on about if I make a mistake. If I make a mistake, you get more experience. You start worrying. I can't do this because I've got to play it safer.
Sure.
Vegas doesn't play it safe, and that's what's great about them. They go. And they
Nothing
go
to lose
hard,
right
and they
now,
go,
yeah.
and it's the Caps. They seem to cool, composed. If they are off their game, they're not going to be rattled to the point where the other team takes over for a long period of time. But we're talking about the NBA series. I mean, Game 4, the last game, Caps, they won 6-2. But I can make the argument they didn't deserve to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the empty nets. Which, we talk about luck, and I'm not a believer in luck. There's, you've got to finish it. You've got skill. Maybe you're too nervous. Maybe there's too much pressure, whatever. But so that was the game, I thought.
Yeah, Gerard thought they played their best game.
I thought they did. And a coach has to sell to his players that you played well. And on this one, there's a lot of times coaches will just try to keep that, keep the atmosphere light and positive, and they're kind of selling it. This time, I think Gallant, all he has to do is show them the tape and say, guys, look at this. You played well.
At the press conference,
there.
he was
It's
like,
right
this is
there.
amazing.
They played well. But again, that comparison between the NBA, well, Cleveland lost that first game when it was right there. And Vegas played really well and didn't win. And in a 7-game series, I think you only get so many
Jim,
chances.
can they come back? If they have this kind of a Cinderella story, this fairy tale journey, is this part of it? And can they come back and win this series?
I'm so cliche about it. I think, and I've talked about it before on the air, I think modern day players are you were talking about the 03. Modern day players are much more prepared mentally to take it one game at a time. We've heard it but they actually, sports psychologists, coaches now break down in a hockey game, they break it down into 5-minute segments. So you're only thinking about this segment at a time, at a time, at a time. So the smaller you break it down, you isolate things. So you're not thinking too far ahead, positively or negatively. You're just thinking about now. So that's why I think teams can come back. Again, the way Vegas played, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they can come back. I hope they don't. I'm hoping that Ovechkin gets his first Stanley Cup. But I think they can come back, and they're going to isolate the one thing they did all year. They clean slate every game, whether it was good or bad, clean slate and go to the next one.
I'm just excited because I hope Ovechkin can finally get that monkey off his back
Yeah,
and
it would
win
be
this.
nice.
And is this the best you've seen him play, and that he can ride off into the sunset, or do you think he would keep playing?
He's played better as an individual. But I think he's now fitting into a group of players, maybe for the first time in his career, where he's really seeing the bigger picture. I think he's had to grow into that because he was such a talented and just overwhelmingly, he's strong. This guy is a big man. Yeah. He's 6'3", he's about 235 for hockey. He shoots, he scores. But that's all they talked about. Now we're seeing him get back to what he did when he was a kid, which is come in and run guys over. If he's not scoring, he's hitting. He's doing something.
Everything.
But he's not the finisher that he once was. Having said that, he led the NHL in goals this year. Top 49 goals, so he's still there. It's maybe not talked about enough, or because it's kind of a negative, but he's from Russia. And I'm in all honesty, I believe, I don't know how many people admit it, that the North American media did not take to him as much as they would have if he was a North American-born player when he was leading the league and winning all these trophies. And like this year,
so true.
I think that's kind of turned
point.
around. I think that's turned around now. I think now because he's 13, 14 years in, it's kind of like, hey, it's time now. Forget about where he's from. And he's willing to.
Look at how he plays.
Yeah,
he's up there with he's one of the greats, and we never hear about him. It's Sidney Crosby.
So many years he was by far the best player on his team.
Sure.
he's not the best player on the team anymore.
Well, and they're playing such a team
a better
game.
player.
Sure.
And then Carlson back on the blue line. You could make the argument that where he slots in as far who has been the most effective, important player, third or fourth. So, but it doesn't matter. He's accepting
Role
that,
player.
and that's what he can give right now.
Right.
Yeah, and they're just connecting so much as a team. But one of my biggest questions for you is that Gerard had mentioned, on top of loving how they played, being confident about it, why didn't he pull Marc-Andre Fleury after being 3 down? And he supported so strongly, leaving him in net. How do you feel about that?
It never crossed my mind. There are sometimes it does. There is a shock value for a coach to just change momentum. And what you do is you're just trying to lay guilt on the other guys.
Sure.
I don't think 2 of the first 3 goals, I think, were, again, I'm not a luck guy, but they were bounces where, there weren't necessarily huge breakdowns by Vegas. It was just, the Capitals keeping the puck alive. One was a shot, goes off a stick right onto a stick. You can't predict those things. 1 goal against, the second goal of the game by Tom Wilson, that was a breakdown. One of the few breakdowns Vegas has had. It was not well defended. When I look at goaltenders, first question in my mind, was the play well defended? If it wasn't, then I'm not going to blame the goalie. I don't think he is their aura.
He is.
He is their being. And so I don't think you pull him. If you do, you talk to him first. And maybe you do that after the first period. You go into intermission. Sometimes coaches will do that. They won't even talk. They'll give a look to the goalie, and sometimes the goalie will give a look back, and you can kind of get that unsaid, okay, I'm ready to go if you need me to be put. But
well, and how much does the goaltender coach in that mix?
Yeah.
Is there a conversation there?
I think with a younger goaltender, maybe. I think in a different circumstance early in the season where you're trying to maybe teach a lesson or teach the team. You're not trying to teach anything right now. You're trying to win. You're in the finals.
Yes.
You're trying to win right now. So the lessons are already learned.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of things. I think right there it's just it never, ever crossed my mind.
No, and I love that. I love that he had his back. And we also know Marc-Andre Fleury's resume is just impeccable. But we also know that from his Pittsburgh days, he does get in his head. So going into this next game, besides the, 5 minutes at a time, if you will, what does he need to do?
First of all, I don't think Fleury is at the top of any list of worries. I'm not worried whatsoever about what he's going to do. I think he'll be right there, and I sounded Canadian. I think for the first time, Vegas is not as tight defensively. They've always been known for this team to score a lot of goals and up tempo and do that.
Their speed.
But when you play against them, you talk to coaches that play against them, they say they're really sound defensively. In the NHL, not many teams play a man-on-man as much as Vegas. That's their entire defensive system in their own zone. So when there is a breakdown, it's blatant. And if you take advantage of it. So I think Washington has been able to spend enough grinding time down low. You kind of set a pick here and there, and you separate some guys. And all you're trying to do is create those switches. In basketball, you get it all the time. You got to switch. You only have that one split second to make that decision. And in hockey, there's more ground to cover. So if you mix up on that switch, and especially in Game 4, I think there was a few switch situations where Vegas kind of got caught.
They clogged that neutral zone. That was a big thing in this game.
And they've been doing. They're amazing. Their season, their story, what they've done. Gallant is the coach. Bringing together all these players to be as successful. It does start with Fleury. He's there. I'm not worried about him at all. I think at some point we have to give the Capitals a little bit of credit here.
So much credit.
It's tough because they weren't expected to be there. Certainly not the underdog story that Vegas would be, but they're kind of methodical, more of a systematic step-by-step approach.
Sure.
And then the skill takes over. I think Vegas is on you, force you into mistakes, cough up the puck, and they capitalize that way. So it's a nice contrast in styles. By no means do I. If it ends in 5, it ends in 5. But I would not be surprised if it does not.
One more to go.
And we do have one more. And you look at Ovi and those guys, especially Ovi, who's so hungry for that ring. A player of his caliber with what he hasn't done yet. I would be. So knowing how hockey works and how the mindset of these teams being down 3-1, knowing they can. Look at the Kings, they've come back 3-0. What do you think the mindset of the Capitals organization is right now, knowing they could just there could be a comeback in the midst?
Some teams decide to actually talk about it. Some teams decide not to. And what they're talking about is this. Now it is right in front of you. Because when the series started, you knew you had to win 4. Now you only have to win 1. And that creates a mental issue unto itself. Now it's right there. So do you start changing the way you do things, which you don't want to do? So that's why some coaches will actually sit the team down and talk about it. Hey, guys, I know it's there, but here's the process. And the process is what we need to do. We'll get that thing later. Let's take care of the process. Some coaches don't even want to talk about it. They just say if they start talking about it, it puts it in the mind of the players. So there's that, coach knows his players and his personnel better than anyone, so they can adjust that way. But the mindset is very difficult right now. They always say it's the toughest game to win, maybe because the team that's trailing is going to be more desperate, but also because your mind might tend to wander to the result as opposed to the process because it's right there.
Exactly.
Sure.
You see it all the time in baseball. Never say a perfect game while it's going.
Yeah.
Of course, you get into the pitcher's head. Never jinx it. And looking after this series, of course, you have the Caps, who I think with Ovi can be a force. I mean, against the Penguins, I think that's both going to be like a series for the ages. But I mean, looking at the Knights, a team who had, I mean, last season they weren't.
Yes.
Exactly. As a team who drafted this year and drafted sort of in this win now mode, which has worked very well, how do you see them going into the next couple seasons?
It's a great question. I think at the All-Star break this year, they made the decision to keep going for it because I think they drafted at least 3 players knowing that they would trade them at the trade deadline this year.
Yeah, no, of course.
They knew that. Veteran guys that other teams would be interested in as a playoff pickup. Well, they got to the All-Star break and said, we're in the top of the Pacific. We're second place in the Western. We're gonna. Right. So they made that decision. Then they get to the trade deadline. They don't sell. They add. So they added a couple guys. I do think they will let 2 or 3 older guys go or sell them off if they still have the rights to those guys. Some guys will be free agents, so you won't have that decision. But I think they will still be thinking more long-term than they will. Now, there's 2 players out there on the free agent market, and Vegas is in a great position because salary cap-wise, they have a bunch of money to spend.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Sure.
Carlson, the defenseman in Ottawa, unrestricted free agent. If he decides that he wants to go there, then that is a cornerstone player you build around to win now. And then John Tavares out of the New York Islanders, centerman, unrestricted free agent. Yeah. I haven't really broken it down, but I think that Vegas has enough room under the cap to sign 2 max contracts for those guys. Just max them out. So if they happen to do that, then they're putting themselves, now they will not be an underdog. They would be right there. And there's a lot of teams that can't sign those other guys because they're capped out.
Sure.
So they can't do it. So there's probably, I haven't broken down the teams, but there's probably 10 teams that can do it out of 31, as opposed to 31 of 31. There's only 10 that can go after those guys. If one or both of those guys end up in Vegas, then what I was talking about of selling off will not happen. They're going to go for it again.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's just, and we're talking about a team that's in the Stanley Cup Final. They just, it's so funny because I feel like the fans and the organization just got spoiled rotten because the first year they just start off,
to me,
annihilating.
To say this is giving a lot of respect to Vegas for this reason. Yeah. If you're Carlson and you're a veteran player, why would you go to a team in only its second year of existence? Sure. If you're Tavares, you're a lifelong New York Islander. Why would you leave that to go to a team in only its second year? Well, Vegas has built this atmosphere that everyone respects what they've done. So I think the players trust it.
Well, they can be franchise players too.
They can go and they'll have a great team around them.
Sure.
Exactly.
Now, Jim, talk about TJ Oshie and how phenomenal he has been playing. I mean, talk about being loose, calm, and collective. He was actually rode to the game in Game 3. Did you hear about this? On the Metro.
Oh, yeah.
People were taking pictures of him saying good luck, and he was just like, hey. And I guess he had a security guy with him. But talk about being pretty, not on, normal guys would not go on a Metro during the Stanley Cup Finals.
I'm going to talk about on the ice. I think it's the best I've seen him play ever.
Yeah.
I think that he's always been a highly touted player. He's always been highly skilled. He's energetic. He's always been physical. He now has the total package where he's involved at the right time, at the right play. I think there were times early in his career where we get caught just trying to run guys through the boards. And, the puck would be there, and he said, I'm going to run you because that's my style. And then there'd be times where he'd be now he's bringing everything
he's playing
together.
Incredible.
I think that's when we're talking about Ovechkin. I think you might make the argument that even Oshie is above him. So now Ovi's moving down to 4 or 5 on the list, which is great. You have a 49-goal scorer, and he's your 4th most effective player, and that's why they're in the final and 1 game away from winning.
So if the series was already over right now, who would you pick as your MVP?
Kuznetsov, not a question. Yeah. His numbers are going to get him there anyway, but when you watch how much puck possession time he has, and he has something that very few players have, what I call a glide stride, meaning he doesn't have to be churning his legs, and he's still maintaining speed, so he's able to have an efficient skating style. So his entries into the zone and the amount of time he has the puck in a position where he can make a solid offensive play with it, that's probably top 5% of the league right there. And now he's executing that in the final. So, his play is not dropping off. It's going up. Sure. And I think as maybe you could argue, as each series has gone along, he's gotten better. I saw that with Drew Doughty with the Kings in their 2 cup runs. He never won a Conn Smythe as the MVP, but as each series went along, Drew got better. And by the end, he was the best player. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Goaltenders, I'm not a fan. Now, Fleury, if Vegas wins, he would probably win it. I'm not a fan of giving the goaltender the Conn Smythe because you can't win without good goaltending.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's an automatic. So if you don't give me the automatic, so you've got to be so far above. And I think Fleury would be one of those guys that would be an exception to me, to my rule. That's only my rule because goalies are picked quite a bit as a Conn Smythe winner. But I think because of he brings belief to that team because he's got 3 Stanley Cups and they believe he can do it again.
Sure.
Jim, since we have you in studio, I have a funny question to ask you. You've been with the Kings for so long. What is some of the craziest stories you've heard what people have done with the Stanley Cup?
Oh, well, that's...
Just maybe one that you know. Like, I know Chris Chelios very well, so Chelly had some stories for me, but I'm sure you've got some great ones.
There's some really good ones that we can tell.
You probably can't tell. Okay. The ones that you can tell.
The PG-13
Luke Robitaille and the staff, upper management of the Kings, in 14 went to I think it was the 7th game against San Jose. So you're down 0-3, you come back, and what they were doing in San Jose, they kept ordering these meatballs, to the suite. The executives get a suite. They don't get to hang in the press box with me, and they're whining and dining. So they ordered these meatballs.
Okay.
So it kept going. So it became kind of when Luke had a party with the Stanley Cup at his house, and they were eating meatballs out of the Stanley Cup.
Oh, that's so good.
So
Such
kind
a good
of took
story.
them through the playoffs till the end. You have it, and you got to keep doing it.
Do it, yeah.
It's great.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have on the topic of fun. Let's keep going. So we're gonna play this or that. With
This
you.
or that.
Yes. So we're gonna lighten the mood. I wanted to ask you all things Kings, but we're running out of time
Do
here.
I have to do fast?
Yes.
Okay.
Rapid
No,
fire.
not that fast.
No.
We have a little bit of time.
So I basically ask you a question, this or that, and then you pick. So are you ready? Here we go.
You should be scared, Jim.
I know, really
Very
scared. It's really personal.
It's pretty scary. It gets pretty scary.
Okay, here we go. Rock climbing or rock concert?
Rock concert. Definitely afraid of heights.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Good to know. I'm afraid of open heights. Like I'm okay if I'm like in a
plane?
building or in a plane, but if I'm like on a roof,
A ledge.
Oh, no.
Or even someone standing beside a ledge.
Right.
Not me. I don't. I
Right.
hate it.
Okay, next one. Steph Curry or chicken curry?
Steph Curry.
Thank you. Ding, ding, ding.
Taco Tuesday or delivery pizza Friday?
Taco Tuesday.
Good. Cruise control or lead foot?
Lead foot.
Pond hockey or pond fishing?
Hockey.
Of course.
Could do
always.
both.
I know. I was wondering
At the
that
same
about you.
time,
I mean, I
yeah.
knew pond hockey would be a given, but I just was curious. Handyman or hire a man?
Oh, no question. Hire a man.
I love it. I want to talk to your wife to hear more
Oh,
about
yes.
that. And then Super Bowl or Olympics if you were to attend one?
Olympics.
Love it.
I was here in '84, and I left town like everyone else because the traffic was going to be too crazy, and it was great. And I was living in Culver City at the time. I was right there. I had a friend who was at Loyola Marymount doing the weightlifting from Canada, and I left if I ever had a chance Olympics.
So good. Well, I think we will, right? 2024.
Yeah.
Coming.
24.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh my goodness. So that's this or that.
I want to ask Casey Wasserman. I'm going to put it out there if he ever hears about. He's running the whole thing. I want to work as a volunteer.
Ooh.
I'll be retired by then. And
All right.
kinda,
Oh, really?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Casey Washington. Here we go.
Wasserman.
Wasserman.
Casey
Wasserman.
Wasserman.
Yeah.
Wasserman.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
Casey
problem.
Wasserman. And then we want to, what people don't know about you is that you own a wine label.
Yes.
So special. Talk about that. Where can people find it? Where can they buy it?
And did
thank
you
you.
bring some?
I did not bring any.
I know. Well, we're going to need some after tomorrow's game.
I've had Patiné out of the Stanley Cup, so that's one of the
Well,
things.
we
One of the
are
good
show-
stories.
Everybody
Yeah.
can see the photos up on the chat right now as well.
So how did you get involved in this? Because that's not just something. Obviously, you're probably a wine connoisseur and wanted to start
Just
your own
after I
label.
retired, I started to get into it. Local restaurants in Los Angeles, and then I liked it so much. I just said so I went to take classes, and I took classes. Then I went to UC Davis, which is renowned for wine, and then I went and started traveling around the world. And then a friend of mine said, what would you like to do? I said, like to make a wine. And he said, why aren't you doing it? I said, well, I don't want the investment. And he said, well, here's the money. So I said, thank
Wow.
you. Did it. Patiné. It's
There
French.
it is, you with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I love that picture.
amazing.
French
You
for
got
two.
the
Yeah,
ring
I got
on,
the
the
ring
cup,
on.
that's a great photo.
Patiné means it's past tense of skate. So to have skated.
So good.
perfect
So
name.
good.
And the
we like
bottle's
to-
so classy. I love it.
You know, we have that band around the bottle has texture like a hockey puck. You see
Oh,
that on the
wow.
box. Those
That
are
is
skate
really-
lines in the ice.
Oh,
in the
Jim.
back. Now we
you
do,
took a lot
there's-
of time into
No,
this.
there is. Now, we don't want it to be. We make Pinot Noir, which is considered probably the most elegant of grapes, but we make California Pinot Noir, so there's a power to it. So when we talked about, you know, the name and should we tie it with hockey, we thought, okay, what do you need more in hockey than anything else or in skating? You need balance. Well, if you do a little work into wine or what you're looking for balance in all the components of wine to come together, acidity and alcohol and oak and fruit and all of these things have to come together, balance. So we said, well, it works together that way. Then we thought, you know, we make more of a bolder style, so hockey has more of a bolder type of thing, and we felt it would work. But single vineyard designate, meaning we have 3 vineyards we source fruit from. We don't blend them together. We bottle them separate, even though they're all Pinot Noir, same grape. They should provide different characteristics. We're a mailing list only, so it's direct to you. We're very small, limited production, small
You
production.
need to start selling in Staples.
I know.
It is at the Lexus Club.
Oh, it is.
A few
Okay.
places out. Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel sells
okay.
it. We're in a lot of, not a lot, because we're very small and we want to keep control of what we're doing there. But website is where you can get it. Patine, P-A-T-I-N-E. Sellers is in winesellers.com.
Great.
You can find out the entire story there, read about it, what we're doing. My wife's involved. Our winemaker's name is Mike Smith. Not the goaltender who plays for Calgary now.
Or the
Not for the
jockey.
jockey who's just
Yeah.
going to win the Triple Crown. Yeah, he's doing a great job for us. Dean Nusich, a friend of mine, is a partner. My wife Susie does more work than anyone else.
Sure.
So, but it's been highly acclaimed. It's been getting great scores from the critics. It's going very well. And if you like, if you love Pinot Noir, have it.
What is this picture from right here, Jim? Is that actually from?
You walking down the vineyard?
That's me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the vineyard. Last summer, my wife and I, Susie, we went for a full month through Crush. So we were there from August 15th through September 15th. So I was either in the vineyard or the winery or both every day for 30 days, working hand in hand with our winemaker. My goal is to be the winemaker at some point.
Sure.
You know, but mentoring under Mike right now is a great way to do it because I've taken the classes, but now you've got to get there and feel it, and it takes a while. You can't just jump into it.
No, but it's
not
true
something-
entrepreneurship because your hands and literally feet are in it all.
Exactly.
You know?
And there we go right there. So
I
there-
love it. I mean,
I have never done that. Have you done that?
I have.
I want to do that.
I've heard it's like therapeutic. There's
Yeah.
something
It's
about
amazing. Like when you're
Stomping
when you
grapes.
stop, when you start right there, that is like cement.
Oh, really?
And it's freezing cold. The grapes are cold. It's so hard. It's so dense. 45 minutes later, you're up to your hips in juice.
Oh,
But it's
wow.
great for exfoliation of the skin.
Let's do it, Becky.
Okay, we're
My
gonna do it. We're
legs
gonna
were
join
so
you.
soft. It was great.
It looks fun though too. I always remember the Lucille Ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
One of her doing that. And I've always like I want to do
But
that.
I thought, you know, hockey, and I 10 years, and I understand what hockey is so finite, meaning at the end of the night, there's a score. You know, win or loss, in and that's the way it should be. You're getting paid. Wine, I'm getting something different than that. I mean, you do score wines, or critics score them. They give you a number, but there's more of the build-up. There is a part of the art, and people that know me, Becky would know, I'm kind of a black and white person most of the time. You know, pretty solid, rigid here and there. Wine, if I do have a gray area, that it brings that out in me. It brings out something where, yes, there is a process, there's a science, but there also is an art. There is a soul you can put into it. There's a style. You can make decisions. You can, you know, just even picking Pinot Noir as the grape I wanted to make is something that, you know, it's something from inside you. So it
Well, it's
brings a little bit
incredible.
more.
It sounds like you're getting another type of balance in life, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, and I'm probably one of the most imbalanced people out there. So
I doubt that.
Yes.
But I mean, it's adding another
it
layer
is,
to
and
you.
it's something I never experienced before, and probably not until we created Patinette. Even the studying, you get to read about it, you get to feel it, but now when you get to be there and do it, that's
so incredible.
I love the
hearing
bottle.
that.
The bottle's
The
great.
bottle is classy.
The
Packaging,
marketing.
everything. Yeah.
we looked at it, we wanted classic. We wanted I felt it looked like a tuxedo.
It
Very
really does.
much.
It really
That's
does.
what
I just want to
wanted.
display the bottle.
Yeah.
Very
So-
much. Well, and I mean, what a special thing that you got to drink it out of the cup. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, after 12 we didn't because we released 2 years later.
Yeah.
But we were able to drink our 12 out of the 14.
14,
So
so
once we won
special.
the 14, so that
So
was
Jim, where again can we find that?
patinecellars.com. So
Okay.
patinecellars.com. And we're Twitter, same thing, Patinee Cellars.
Perfect, okay.
Facebook,
Great.
Patinee Cellars. Instagram, Patinee Cellars. So
Oh, perfect. We'll push that out.
We
too.
will. Yeah, we'll add it on
Thank you.
Twitter and
No.
all of that. So
that's again very well received.
thank
So
you for
everyone's
sharing that with
we're
us.
happy
And
with
our live chat is loving it too. So this is great.
Now, Jim, before we let you go, because we got to wrap the show up, give us your predictions on
Stanley Cup
series.
final.
Wow.
What's going to happen?
next game's Thursday, correct?
Yeah, I think Vegas is going to win another game.
Okay.
And so then in
Oh.
the back of my mind, I'm saying, well, if they win the next game, then the pressure's all on Washington in Game 6.
Game
so that
six.
the pressure's all on. I would say Washington in 6.
Okay.
But
That's
I
mine
think
too.
Vegas has I think Vegas. I have a lot of respect for them for what they. I don't want them to win. I want I want Washington to win for Ovechkin.
Ovechkin, that's how I
I'm
feel,
a little bit
yeah.
of Scrooginess in me that I know it's a great story, but for a person that's been around a team for a
so
long
long
period of
that they
time
just come
and they
in
don't
and-
win,
yeah.
and then someone comes in, it just
I
I
get
don't
it.
want to take away from it. It's just
Oh, I get it.
but what George McPhee did as the GM and Gerard Gallant and then the players coming together is unparalleled ever in professional
But they've
sports.
already set that bar.
Yes,
like you
they
said,
have.
this is now.
So we can kind of give
Yeah,
them
this is
the
now
the booby prize.
trying to,
Yeah.
right? But this, and they've
Yeah.
already accomplished the Western Conference,
Yeah.
champions, if you will. But I mean, the Stanley Cup.
They're
is
talented enough.
So
they
coveted.
are talented enough to win. There's no
But this
question
is
in my mind.
the most coveted trophy in hockey.
And it's
Like
hard.
it's got to go to the Caps. I mean, I was hoping Game 7, but I think it'll be 6, winning at home. That'll be kind of a very tough. for
Anything
them.
special you guys are doing to watch the game?
Oh my gosh, I might actually meet some friends in the Bay. Just celebrate it.
Yeah, I'm
So along with
actually,
every Kings fan.
I'm working Game 5 for NHL Radio, so I'll be in Vegas.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
So
Outstanding. Where can we hear
that's
you?
Westwood One station.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Google Westwood One stations.
Yep,
around,
we already know.
familiar.
around the
Yep.
country. Around the country,
Familiar
you pick
with
it up there. Sirius XM.
Right.
carries
Terrific.
that too,
Great.
So.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Well, this is exciting.
Oh,
you know,
thank you.
now
That's
we
great.
know kind of we got so much insight, which is nice to hear.
Yes,
You know,
thank
for me
you, Jim.
especially.
My goodness.
And now the Warriors play tomorrow.
Tomorrow
What are you guys
in
doing for that? Are you
Cleveland.
going to watch that? Obviously, you're going to watch it. Where are you going to
Yeah,
watch
I'll watch it probably at home. I'm one of those
Yeah.
that, like, if I'm not at the game, I have to watch it by myself because I can't have people in my ear, like,
Yeah, you
John
need to be in
often
it.
saying stuff, and
Sure.
so I'll just kind of zone in and watch the game.
Yeah,
at
no,
home.
I'll be sitting there in front of the TV, asking JR to focus. Like,
it? There you go. I'm going to make fresh guacamole because that's been a tradition.
And then I leave for the Belmont on Friday to go see Mike, hopefully win the
Yes.
Triple Crown. So
Yes.
We're rooting for
We're
him.
really pulling for him. He's a guest of the show and a good friend of mine.
Oh, he is.
and
Oh,
so
great. Yeah. I
we're
met him
hoping-
once out at Santa Anita.
Have you?
We brought the
Okay.
Stanley Cup there that day.
Oh, you
in
did?
2014. And he came. He was racing that day. Won a race. Came up. Took some pictures with the cup. But again, just I have that connection with
Yeah.
So
the
good.
winemaker Mike Smith and him.
I know, it's funny when you said
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, we had him on the show.
we're hoping, and he's going to come back in
Great.
studio if he wins, and so we're
Well, have
hoping,
fun. That'll be
hoping
exciting.
that it's tough, but we'll hope he
gonna be
can
tough.
win that.
Yeah.
It's always tough. It's a mile
Front
and a
runner,
half. Yeah, but yeah.
He always
He
goes
has
to
to
the
break.
front
He has
for the
to. He has to
longest
break
race.
well, and it's a mile and a half, and it's
Yeah.
a long journey that he's taken. And but it's supposed to rain on that Saturday, which is crazy.
Good.
because
It'll be 3 in a row,
Justify
right?
knows
I
how
know
to run
because
in
he
that
loves
rain.
he
Yes,
loves
he
to race in
does.
the rain. So I think it's kind of funny that it's supposed to rain in
Yeah.
June. So if the stars are all aligned.
Justify
right,
is like,
then-
bring it on. I
Yeah.
got it. I
He's
got
ready.
you.
So thank you so much again,
Yeah,
Jim, for
my
being
pleasure.
here.
Thank you. It was
And
great.
We're excited,
Love
and
it.
we'll be back here again next
Yes.
week.
Where can everybody find you, Jim? On Twitter.
Twitter, Jim Fox 19.
Perfect.
Or again, Patinee Cellars.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
checking out that wine.
That's right.
So you'll see us again next week, same time, same place. Until next time, see y'all.
Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz, see you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.